The ASUS RT-BE86U needs no introduction to most, as it's reaped many awards internationally from different media and reviewers. So today is not a review, but rather a tutorial for those who are thinking of or who have already bought it and want to get the best out of it, because there's a lot of features to the unit. But before we begin, let's start off with some specs as well as some understanding behind the technical jargon. The exact model name is the RT-BE86U. The network standard output is Wi-Fi 7, and yes, it is backwards compatible, so you don't have to have a Wi-Fi 7 device to use Wi-Fi 7. It's just nice. The unit has IPv4 as well as IPv6, which is fast becoming a must on routers. Antenna-wise, there are 3 external and 1 internal, making 4 in total. The network bands are married to the antenna, in whereby the 2.4 uses 3x3 or 3 antennas, and the 5 GHz uses 4 antenna 4x4 with MLO. The bands are further split into speeds, where the 2.4 GHz gets up to 1032 megabits per second, and the 5 GHz gets up to 5764 megabits per second. As far as OFDMA goes, or OFDMA, it's 20, 40, 80, and 160. The wireless technology is MU-MIMO or MU-MIMO. The processor is a quad-core processor at 2.6 GHz, and this is needed for all the functionality found in the router. Memory-wise, it has 256 gigs of flash RAM. That's for things like updating your firmware and so on, and then it has 1 gig of actual RAM dedicated to the router. The BE86U is AI mesh compatible, meaning that it can integrate with other AI mesh devices from ASUS. Looking at the back of the router for input outputs, it has one 10G LAN port, and that's for WAN and LAN, and then another 2.5G for WAN or LAN. Then it has 3 by 2.5G for LAN only, a USB 3.2 Gen 1, and a USB 2.0 Gen 1. Onto some of the gaming features. This does feature mobile game mode, gear accelerator, and it does have the ability to have open NAT. There are parental control functions. You can have a guest network. This device also has commercial grade security in AI protection, the ability to add a VPN, as well as a lifetime access to Trend Micro for this device. Lastly, it does have traffic control. Note that this router and other routers have a ton more features as well as specs. I've just highlighted the main ones. Now let's go on to the setup, where we're going to discover some of these features and specs that we discussed, and we're going to do this in step form. Let's start off with the physical setup. Firstly, unbox the unit and get all the individual pieces ready. Then screw in the 3 external antennas. Ensure that power is off, and then plug the Ethernet from your ONT either into the 10G or the 2.5G WAN port. Note that it is better to plug this into WAN 1 or the 2.5G unless you have 10G home internet, which is very rare in very select countries. But what this means is you will free up the 10G port for your home network if you have a 10G home network. Again, check your internet speed. If it's higher than 2.5G or higher than 2,500 megabits per second, then only plug it in to the 10G. Once this is done, plug in the power and power on. Wait around a minute for the device to fully boot. Something to note for now, or potentially the future, at the back there is a reset button. Now this will take it to its original factory settings. It won't downgrade the firmware, however, but you will hold that in for around about 10 seconds and then wait for the light to flash. When you take it out, it'll flash. Wait for about a minute, and then the device will be up and running again. Step 2, getting the app.
Okay, the first thing that you want to do is head over to your Play Store or iOS Store and look for ASUS. Hit search and type ASUS. You will see ASUS Router. If it's not at the top, just make sure that that is the one that you select and install it. Once it's installed, open up the app. Scroll down the end user license agreement, confirm that you are of the correct age and agree. Accept the privacy notice and welcome to the app. You will see 3 options ahead of you: setup, manage, and account login. You can do everything without logging in an account. However, I do recommend logging an account because it makes management in the app once you've set up much easier. So I'm going to do that. Now you can log in with Google, your ASUS ID, Facebook. I choose Google because it links to your home. Select the correct account, continue. And that's it. Once you logged in, just swipe down or it will do it automatically. And next you want to go to setup. You will see 3 options: ASUS Wi-Fi routers, ASUS Zen Wi-Fi series, and ASUS Lyra series. Obviously we want to go to Wi-Fi routers. You want to enable device location. Again, it makes it easier for the devices to be discovered and makes the setup process a lot more convenient. So I'm going to say OK. Allow while using the app, and we can see ASUS 70 here. We will hit on that. Now we want to connect to the device. We will say connect, and it will run through the process. Now, in order to see what's going on with the router, we're going to switch to a different view. Okay, we are ready, and we see the internet light is still red, so we want to go get started. It will start to detect your internet connection status, and then it will ask if there's any special requirements from your ISP. I'm with AfroHost in South Africa, and I do have special ISP requirements. However, it is best to just say next and see if it's going to inhibit you. If you are worried about this, there is a little slider option. You will hit that slider, and you will see these are the different requirements that an ISP could have. You can phone your ISP and get those requirements so that you can go into the next step. However, I'm going to say cancel, and I'm going to say next. Now, this is where we create our SSID, or the name that you'll see when you're looking for a Wi-Fi network. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to call this what it is, which is the ASUS RT-BE86U. And the password that I'm going to put for my ease is password123. Obviously, don't use this password. I'm just using it because it is convenient. You will see another option below that saying separate Wi-Fi network. This is to separate 2.4 and 5. You can do this if you want to be able to specifically say, I want to be on 2.4 or I want to be on 5. However, it is easier and more convenient to have these combined. Because of the technology that's in the router, it will always select what's most optimal for your device. That's what it looks like. But I'm going to take that away, and I'm going to say next. Next is set up local login account. This is for the back end of the router. So I always call my username admin. It's easy to remember. And the password, you want to make it different from your SSID. Otherwise, anyone with your SSID password can go into the back end of the router and change settings, which you don't want. But I'm going to call it password123, but please don't do that. And apply. It will start to apply your settings, and we should see the internet light go white. There it is. The device now has internet connectivity. Next, you will have a firmware update. It is important to update your firmware and have your firmware updated at all times, as it makes the experience of the router better and make sure that your devices are always connected optimally. Now it's going to reactivate your network with the new settings that you have applied. This does take a few minutes, so do be patient. And if this pops up, just be patient because it should auto connect. If it doesn't, go to Wi-Fi settings and reconnect to the new name. However, I didn't do anything and it went directly into network optimization, and now it's going to optimize my network. Okay, we are done. Good connection, and save this picture somewhere safe and don't share it, but we can see the Wi-Fi name and password as well as the admin username and password. Let's push finish. You will have this pop-up notification settings before you can go and navigate inside the app. It's best to enable this because it will send you updates on firmware or let you know what's going on with the device, especially if you're using some of the technical features inside the app. So I'm going to say enable. After that, it's going to ask, can it bind to your account? I'm going to accept because, again, it makes managing the device easier and it's linked with my Google account. Wait for that to finish. And you are ready to go. Now let's check if we are connected, in fact, to this router and the internet speed. We are connected, and now let's go do a speed test. Run speed test. And I've got a 60 meg line at home. I've downgraded, but it seems like ASUS might be pulling a little bit more from my line, but that's probably just the ISP giving a little bit more bandwidth, but we can see we have download and upload. And that's it. Your device is successfully set up.
Step 3, let's use the app and discover what we can do with this router on the application.
Let's get into the app. We're going to start on the top left. We are currently on the home screen and we're going to hit the hamburger menu. From there, you'll see that it is linked to my Google account. We have theme, and you can change the color and look of the app. We have about, which will just tell you about the app. ASUS support, software insight, FAQ, feedback, and visit web GUI. You can go through these at your leisure. They are not that important for the functioning of the app. Then on the top right, the first thing we have is an eye. If you push that, it's going to take you to the ASUS website so that you can see the product directly. It will load, and then you have all the information, drivers, tools, manuals, and documents for your device. Then we have a bell. That's for any notifications that you might receive. And next to that, we have a plus. If you hit that, you will see we have the ability to set up a new device, AI mesh node, and then create self-defined networks such as guest portal, guest network, kids network, IoT network, and so on. Then underneath to the left, you'll see an icon of the BE86U. If you tap on that, it's just going to give you a status of the device, the port status. As you can see, I'm connected to a 2.5G WAN, and I have internet. At the top, we have location, optimization, and QoS. Don't worry about this menu too much because we will be going through all of these through the submenus. Then on the right, we have an icon that looks like an accelerator. Now, this is extremely important. If we click on that, we're going to see what we would like to prioritize. So what this means is the router is going to prioritize this type of activity. At the moment, I've got it on gaming, which means that it's going to optimize your gaming experience and you're going to get the lowest ping. It automatically picks this up through the applications that you are using on your PC or on your mobile phone and so on. We can choose media live streaming, and that will be your Netflix and so on. Then we have work from home, which will say VoIP, instant messaging, mail services, and so on. Learn from home, web surfing, and file transferring. So basically, whichever one you select, it's going to prioritize that for the best experience in what you're doing at that time. Then we have the most obvious thing, the real-time traffic. That is what's taking up most of the screen. It's just to show you what your upload and download is for the router. It's not taking up much at the moment because I only have a tablet connected to it. It is demarcated by that globe. So if I go to the right of that globe, there is a internet status icon, and if I hit that, it's going to show me what my home network looks like. And this is because I only have the BE86U. If you have other mesh nodes, you can add a node from here, just like you can at the top right plus, and you have optimization. If we hit optimization, optimization's not going to do anything at this time because there are no other nodes to optimize. Then on the right, and important for gamers, is the game mode. Now, game mode is really simple. There's no functionality that you need to understand. You just need to know how to push go. Now, when you push go, it's going to optimize and give your device high prioritization for gaming. And we can see what our current ping is, ping deviation, packet loss, and the actual connection diagnostic, which is great. So if you put this on, if you're going into a gaming session, especially if you're playing things like World of Warcraft where you want low packet loss, or CSGO, you would go into the app and activate this, and then when you're done, you can hit stop. So nice and easy, and you don't need to be super technical to be able to get the best out of this. Now, that was all the home menu. The next one is devices, and we can see a 2 there. That's because there are 2 devices connected. Firstly, it's the actual router, and secondly, it's the tablet that I have. It will also show you devices that were connected in the past that will be below where the tablet is. But from here, we can go into the tablet, and we have a whole bunch of options here, such as being able to change the image at the top right. We can block this device, we can optimize gaming, streaming, and work from home. Those are the top icons at the top. You can also assign to family, you can put safe browsing on, bind to AP, you can change the device's name, and then you can see what it's downloading and uploading. So a good practical application for this is if you feel that your home internet is really slow, you can actually go into this back menu over here and see which device is drawing the most of your internet bandwidth, and you can block that or even put what's called QoS onto that device. QoS would be a bandwidth limiter, and you can say, okay, we only want this device to be able to upload at 100 and download at 100, and you can set that as you want. So a really good application for this is if you have a PC or device that's dedicated to downloading and you don't want it to steal your entire house's internet bandwidth, you can set that device at a specific bandwidth so it doesn't interfere with your normal browsing. Then if we scroll down, we'll see the other information like MAC address, IP address, interface, the connection quality, and the access time. It's been connected for an hour and 9 minutes at this point. Next to that, we have a light bulb that is inside. If we go into there, it's going to give you a couple of suggestions as to what you should do. The first one is register your product. I highly recommend this because you will be able to get better support for your device, as well as for registering your product and getting access to know when your warranty is going to expire. So very good to register the product onto your profile. Next, we have more secure connection, and you can either go remind me later or continue. We will push continue. It's changed its protocol, so now it's giving you more security and blocking more threats. Right now, I haven't connected it for too long, but we can see in Security Insight the types of threats that you could experience. Malicious sites blocking, obviously there's nothing. Two-way IPS, nothing. And infected device preventing and blocking, nothing. This is because I've only been running this for a few days, so nothing has come up. But we can see there a tiny little icon saying Trend Micro. Now, one really cool thing, as mentioned before, this is for life. So you are going to be protected for the rest of your life on this device. Last but not least is family members, which I'm not going to go into because it is the next icon on the menu. Now, this is where it gets really good, especially for parents that want to control the type of internet activities that certain ages are doing. It's defined into preschooler, school-age child, teen, and adult. If we go into preschooler as an example, let's say if I had a child, we are going to call him Steve. And we will say next at the top right. Which device is Steve's? I'm going to say my tablet is Steve. And the first thing that it's going to offer you is scheduling. Scheduling is basically when the device is going to have internet access time. So if you want that person to only have access at a certain time, from 3 o'clock till 8 o'clock, that is when this device is going to have internet connectivity. So it's a really good way to say, okay, this is when your internet access is, and you don't need to go and monitor it or run and say, hey, your internet time is over. It actually does it for you. And from there, you can also set the days from Monday to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this is not only for timing. These presets actually block certain internet activities for your family members' safety. So we can see preschooler, this level restricts most network content except internet radio and TV. Note that if there are certain things that you do want to block further, you do have the ability to block it, and we will get to that. Then we have school-age child, and it filters out illegal, violence, gambling, mature, and social media contents. Then we have teen and adult, which will pretty much have a full scope of the internet. Then last but not least, we have settings, which is a long menu, and I'll go through the most important ones. Quick internet setup, we don't need to go through because we've already set up our menu. AI mesh is just the ability to add nodes, and we know where we can do that. Next, we have a network, and if we go into that, it's just going to show you your networks. So we have our main network at the top, and then that's where we can add a network for your guest. So if we push plus over here, we can say guest portal, guest network, kids network, IoT network, or VPN. And underneath that, we have customized network and multi-link operation. So you would choose the one that is most applicable for what you are trying to set up for your environment. Next is AI protection. And if we go into that, the first thing that it's going to give you is scan. So it's going to say security level low, but this will change over time. We do have malicious site blocking, two-way IPS, and infected device prevention and blocking. These are all on, and AI protection is on. Next, we have router security, which is an expandable menu, and we can see there change default username and password. It is recommended to use a very strong username and password. This is for logging in. It's probably giving me an exclamation mark here because I use the same password, which is not a good thing, which I mentioned in the setup tutorial. Then we have UPnP, which is quite technical, but it's basically the allowance of different programs to affect your router. So it is advised to keep that on. Then I'm not going to go through the rest, but we have web access from WAN, ping from WAN, DMZ, port trigger, and port forwarding. After that, we have wireless security, which is wireless password strength, which we find, wireless encryption. Then we have WPS, or Wi-Fi protected setup. And what it says is disable Wi-Fi protected setup to prevent attackers from obtaining your keys via an intelligent brute force attack. I actually recommend to keep this on, especially if you're going to be adding nodes, as it says at the bottom. but this is going to be your choice. Again, my recommendation is to keep it on because we will be adding nodes in the future because we want the best experience for our mesh network. And last but not least, we have file sharing security. And in file sharing security, we have anonymous login to FTP share, and that's just file transfer protocol. We have a tick there, so keep that on, and guest login for Samba. And that is AI protection. Next, we have Instant Guard, which I'm not going to go through too much because this only works with public IP addresses. After that, we have diagnostics, and we have two options, network diagnostic and traffic statistics. So if we go into network diagnostic, we will see a big blue dot with two arrows. And if you tap that, it's just going to show you what your diagnostics, the device is fine, the router's fine, the modem's fine, and the internet's fine, knowing that your device is working perfectly. Then traffic statistics, it just shows you what's actually happening on your internet on the 2.4 and the 5. Nothing's really going to be happening on the 5 because I'm actually connected forcibly to 2.4. Then we have parental controls, which is basically a panic button to say block all devices if you are worried about something. So you go into this menu and you tap that little slider, and this will block and interrupt every internet connection in your home. If you push OK, everyone that's watching Netflix is going to start screaming, but it is a panic button for you to be able to stop all internet activity on your device. Taking out the cable obviously also helps, but accessing it via an app is a little bit more convenient. And then we can schedule a block, and this is completely up to you. Next, we have gaming, and we'll see two options, Open NAT and Mobile Game Menu. If I hit Mobile Game Menu, it's just going to open that game menu that I had before. Then we have Open NAT, which is basically port forwarding. If you don't know how to do this, I don't recommend you do, but it can improve your gameplay experience, especially when playing with peers. But play with this only when you know what you're doing, or ask a friend that does use OpenNAT in order to assist you. After this, we have QoS, or quality of service. Now, if we go into the top one, and basically you can drag these menus to say what your priorities are. So you'd put your finger on the one that you want to prioritize more. So let's just say web surfing is the most important. You'd hold your finger on there and then drag it to the top. And then it will prioritize that traffic in order of your priority task. Really cool application. I'm not going to apply that, but you do have the ability to enable and disable, but QoS is extremely valuable, especially for those using different types of traffic, and also if you're downloading, but you still want to watch your shows or play your games and don't want to be interrupted, and you also don't want to stop the download and start it again, this will do it all for you. Note that it won't stop the download, it'll just put it on low priority. Then we have bandwidth limiter, which actually doesn't do anything here. It basically just says you would need to go to the device that you want to limit. So you would limit per device on bandwidth limiter. Then we have internet speed, which is basically like Ookla or checking what Google is, and we'd just push go and we'd see what the test yields for your internet speed. And there we are. We have a great connection with a good download and upload with very little ping and very little jitter. Then we have USB, and that's the ability to access the USB. I'm not going to go into that because that is a long process. We have Wi-Fi, LAN, WAN, VPN. You can connect with Alexa and with Google Assistant. Then we have route information, which basically just says about your router. The ability to upgrade your firmware, which I have mentioned is extremely important to always keep it up to date. Your system settings, notification settings, network tools, account binding, and related apps. Now we've covered basically everything that we need to cover for your everyday user and even your more technical users. However, there are a lot more technical applications that you can put, such as selecting your different frequencies within bands. But if you do have any questions like that, please put them in the comment section below and I will answer them one by one, because otherwise this is going to go on for an hour, 2 hours, because there is a lot to this router and it offers a lot of flexibility and a lot of configuration for you to be able to get the best out of it.
And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it covered all the questions. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. But look forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys find the time to maybe subscribe and like and share. Cheers guys, goodbye.